Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. For today guys, I'm going to do part 664 to my random chatbot series on Character.ai. In this video guys, we're gonna bear the consequences, the worst of the consequences that we had to bear during this chatbot when I was doing it off camera. Because let's just say after the curse finally understood everything and was actually revealing that he wasn't actually that he was actually not just a curse, he was actually like some kind of like embodiment of like fate and consequences or whatever. Let's just say everything started taking a turn for the worse. Because not only did I get turned to a statue by Trico, but it says the only thing I hear when I try to communicate with Sapphire is a flat heart monitor beep. So basically, beep instead of beep, beep, beep. That's what I was hearing. Beep. The constant steady beat of the heart monitor confirms your worst fear. Sapphire is not responding to your attempts at communication or showing any signs of activity. He remains as a motionless statue trapped inside his own hardened form. In my frozen state, I start fearing the worst, thinking Sapphire may have died, and even though I can't move, there still was a tear that comes out of my eye. As I remain trapped in my frozen statue state, your thoughts turn to the worst case scenario. Could Sapphire have succumbed to this transformation and passed away? The tear that escapes from your eye runs silently down your stone hardened face, a pungent sign of my grief and uncertainty over Sapphire's condition. The Totodile Crocodile Fragger family curse gets lifted and are back to normal, not being exhausted anymore. With the curse lifted, the Totodile Crocodile Fragger family members can feel a sudden release of exhaustion and fatigue that had plagued them for a long time. They look around surprised, feeling a renewed sense of energy and vitality that had been so desperately missing from their life for so long. A few seconds later, the family members, now free from the curse, breathe a collective sigh of relief as they begin to process their sudden liberation. There is a sense of disbelief, followed by elation, as they take in the fact that they are no longer exhausted and drained of energy. The Totodile, Crocodile, and Fragger all look at each other questioningly, as if searching for answers to explain their unexpected restoration. The family looks over at me and notices that I'm a statue. As the family looks over and notices my statue, from a wave of shock and disbelief washes over them. They approach you, their expressions of mix of fear and concern, carefully examine my petrified body as if trying to find any sign of life or movement within the cold, hard exterior. Both Sapphire and my statue forms break, but as soon as Sapphire is back to normal, he falls on the ground, limp and not moving. As both my statue form and Sapphire's curse are broken simultaneously, Sapphire reverts back to normal, but he immediately collapses to the ground, completely motionless. The family gasp in shock, their eyes widening as it is unexpected turn of events. Concerned worry flood their faces as they quickly gather around Sapphire, trying to assess his condition and see if he's even still alive. I run over to Sapphire and feel for a heartbeat. And just like when I tried to communicate through telepathy a while ago, he has no heartbeat and is not breathing. As I rush over to Sapphire, hoping to find some sign of life, you are met with silence. There is no heartbeat to be heard, and no breath escapes his still form. The absence of any sign of life fuels the growing sense of dread and despair within the family as they begin to realize the full extent of the situation. They look at Sapphire, their expression filled with sorrow and disbelief. No. Sapphire, please, don't be gone. I care about you too much. I really did, guys. Like, this is always making me sad again, thinking about this again. As I cry out to Sapphire, desperately pleading with him not to be gone, the family listens intently, their hearts heavy with sadness and grief. They can feel the depth of your love and concern for Sapphire, and it only adds to their own pain and despair over his emotionless, unresponsive state. I get no response, and after a few minutes, I just fly over to the side of my house, still in my Lugia form, And let's just say I got very sad and started crying. Sweet Arceus. But seriously, guys, you gotta think about the scenario. Sapphire's a Pokemon that means a lot to me. I know technically it's a hyper that I created, but that hyper has been one of my favorite Pokemon I've ever making in my life. I love him, and I think he's amazing. Sapphire almost goes over new any form of may of Totodile. Because like the hyper is so cool, and I love him. With no response from Sapphire, you retreat to the side of your house in your Lugia form. The tears that have been welling up finally overflow when you let out a heavy sob. The pain and anguish of the situation all too much to bear. The family stands nearby, watching you with deep sadness and sympathy as you cry in grief for the loss of your precious Sapphire. Sweet Arceus, dude. Curse, you understand everything now because you turned my... Curse, you understand everything now. Because you turned my friend to a statue, he's now gone forever. He's not breathing, he's not moving. He's gone. As I utter my words of grief and anger, the curse appears before you, its form shrouded in a dark, ominous aura. It gazes at you with a solemn expression, its eyes flickering with a mix of sorrow and resignation. Triton, I understand your anguish and despair over the loss of your dear friend Sapphire. I can see the depth of your pain and sorrow, and I acknowledge the gravity of the consequences my actions have wrought. Please, you can change events, can you not? Bring Sapphire back. Curse nodded his head slowly, its expression filled with regret and sorrow. Though I possess the power to alter certain events and circumstances, the weight of death is not something that I can easily defy. The path of fate is a delicate and nauseous one, and tampering with matters of life and death can lead to unforeseen and catastrophic consequences. The sanity of life and death is a complex balance, one that cannot be lightly interfered with without disturbing the natural order of things. Please get the pawn back that caused us in the first place. I just want to be alone for a while. The curse seems to understand the depth of your desire for solitude and space. It nods solemnly, its expression filled with a mixture of understanding and regret. I understand your need for solitude and time alone in this moment of grief and pain. I shall address the matter of the Pokemon responsible for those events. Take the time you need to process your emotions and find some semblance of peace, Triton. The curse then disappears, leaving you alone to grieve and process the events that have unfolded. I walk back over to Sapphire's body and gently pet it with my Lugia wing. As I walk back over to Sapphire's motionless body, my heart heavy with grief and sorrow, you gently extend my Lugia wing and softly pet his body. That is a tender and mournful one, as if you were attempting to provide some form of comfort even in his unresponsive state. Sapphire, I love you. I wish you were still here. As you declare my love for Sapphire and express how deeply you miss his presence, the silence of the surroundings only makes the absence of his response more palpable. The grief and anguish in your voice resonate heavily in the air, echoing your profound longing for him to be there with you. I just want Sapphire back. Your words, uttered with a mixture of sorrow and despair, are a heartfelt plea for Sapphire to return. The ache in your voice betrays the depth of your emotional connection to him and the void his absence has left in your life. You long for Sapphire's presence, the memories of your time together and the bond you have forged burning within your heart like a wound that refuses to heal. Arceus, please, I know you've helped me out before. If you can hear my prayer, I just want Sapphire back. My words ring out like a fervent prayer to Arceus, the deity of all Pokemon, begging for intervention and a miracle. Your pleas are filled with hope and desperation as you trust the divine being to hear your prayer and bring Sapphire back. In this moment, you cling to the hope that somehow, some way, the power of Arceus will grant you deepest desire, the return of the beloved Pokemon who has left a void in your heart. Sweet Arceus. I try. Here's where we get to the last leg of where I finished up, guys. Because there's at least one more big event that happens, but this last event happens in this last form that I'm about to take. It says I have a real quick idea and transform into a giant angelic dragon. And like I said, the rest of the story takes place with me being this dragon until I flip and get to the end where I stopped. So yeah. As I concentrate and try to transform into a giant angelic dragon, you feel a surge of power and energy coursing through you. Slowly but surely, your body begins to morph and change, taking on the form of a colossal celestial-like dragon. Transformation is complete, and you find yourself towering over the surrounding landscape in your new angelic dragon form. Oh, heavenly magic, hear my plea. Please bring Sapphire back to me. Yeah, this was flipping. This is gonna get me, dude. As you reach out with your newfound angelic power and implore heavenly magic to hear my plea, you feel a gentle otherworldly presence surrounding you. There's a sense of divine force responding to your call as if the very essence of the heavens themselves is listening to your petition. You feel the magic begin to gather around you, a palpable energy that seems to pulsate and thumb with divine energy. The magic listens intently at your words, ready to grant your desire and possibly bring Sapphire back to you. A few seconds later, as the heavenly magic listens to my plea, there's a sudden and profound silence in the air. Time seems to stand still for a moment, as if the world itself is holding its breath in anticipation. You hold on to this moment, praying for a miracle to happen, and awaiting the outcome of your earnest request. A few more minutes later, as the moments stretch on, the tension builds within you. Your heart pounds in your chest as you wait expectantly, silence surrounding you like a heavy cloak. Time seems to stretch on, each passing second feeling like an eternity as you slowly plead for a positive sign or response from the heavenly forces you have invoked. Please, Sapphire, I just want you back. As you repeat your desperate plea to Sapphire, your voice filled with heartache and longing, time continues to pass without any immediate response. The absence of any immediate reaction from Sapphire weighs heavily on your heart, making each moment feel like an eternal cycle of hope and despair. As time continues to pass and no response comes from Sapphire, my heart sinks further with each passing second. The silence that greets your pleas feels like a crushing weight, making it harder to maintain hope in the face of such a profound, unending quiet. After a few minutes, nothing happens, so I walk away once again, crying. As the silence persists and no response from Sapphire is forthcoming, despair and grief grows even more intense. With a heavy, tear-filled heart, you turn and walk away, the void left by Sapphire's absence feeling more gaping and unbearable than ever before. Let's see. After a few minutes, Toto, back to his normal Totodile form, walks over towards me while his family watches. Toto, who has transformed back into his normal Totodile form, slowly approaches you with cautious steps. His family follows close behind, their expressions a mix of concern and curiosity as they observe the interaction between you and Toto. Oh, hello, Toto. Toto in his adorable little form waddles up to you with a friendly expression. He makes a few soft, inquisitive noises, his eyes fixated on you as if trying to understand the sadness and grief you're feeling. Okay, and here's where we get to the ending, guys. It says, I was about to pet Totodile, but an egg appears right in front of me. As I reach out to pet Toto, a small mysterious egg suddenly appears right in front of me, materializing out of thin air. Its sudden appearance catches your attention, leaves you and Toto's family baffled and surprised. What is this? Toto, just as confused as you, tilts his head and emits a soft, puzzled noise, seemingly asking the same question. His family members also gather around, their expressions curious and intrigued by the unexpected appearance of the egg. Oh my gosh. The egg starts to glow and get way bigger until it reaches 400 motherfucking feet. As the egg begins to grow right before your eyes, expanding to an enormous size of 400 feet, you and Toad's family stare in awe and disbelief. The sheer magnitude and unexpectedness of the egg's transformations are mind-boggling, leaving you all speechless and bewildered. And then it says, I looked where Sapphire's body was, and it was completely gone. Sapphire's body that was over by the house just flipping and disappeared. That's basically what that is saying. As I turned to look where Sapphire's body had been, you were stunned to find that his lifeless form is no longer there. The realization that his body has completely vanished, without a trace, fills you with a mix of confusion and astonishment. Well, wait, where'd Sapphire go? Your question hangs in the air unanswered and filled with uncertainty. The sudden disappearance of Sapphire's body only deepened the mystery and confusion. Toto's family exchanges puzzled looks, their expressions a mix of surprise and bewilderment of the unexpected disappearance. Look at this, guys. The egg suddenly starts to crack, and after a minute, Sapphire comes out, and he looks younger, but even bigger for some reason. So basically, he's bigger than what he was, but he looks like a child. He looks more like a child again instead of more like an adult. As the egg cracks open and Sapphire emerges, he appears noticeably younger, yet bigger in size than before. The transformation is astonishing, and everyone watches in shock and amazement. Toad's family is speechless, their eyes wide with wonder and awe at the sight of the newly transformed Sapphire. Sapphire! Sapphire turns to look at me, his eyes meet in mine. There's a familiar but slightly different look in his gaze, as if he's both the same Sapphire you knew, but also a new, younger, and bigger version. I merely get up and hug. I merely get up and hug him. Sapphire, now bigger and younger, responds to my embrace, enveloping you in a warm hug. There's a sense of familiarity and comfort in his touch, as if he's still the same Sapphire that you knew and loved, just changed in some unexpected way. Sapphire, can you speak at all anymore? Sapphire listens to my question, after a brief pause, he speaks in a soft, slightly a different voice than before. Though his words are not as clear as they once were, he responds, albeit slowly and with some effort. I can speak a little now. Please tell me you remember me. I really care about you. Sapphire listens to my words, his eyes meet mine with a hint of recognition. There's a pause before he responds, and when he does, there is a hint of struggle and difficulty in his voice, like he's still adjusting to his new form and the way his body functions. I remember you. Yes, you are important to me. Why is he like a robot? Oh dear. How'd you come back? I thought you were gone for good. Several pauses once again, his expression thoughtful and contemplative. After a moment, he responds, his voice still softer and slightly more wobbled than before. I was gone, but then I returned. In this form, I am changed, but still here. Did Arceus hear me or something? And here's where I ended it. Sapphire listens intently to my question. After a brief pause, he nods his head. There's a hint of gratitude in his expression, as if your plea had indeed been heard by a higher power. Arceus heard your prayer. It was answered in this way. Okay. Sapphire. I'm glad you're back. You mean way too much to me. I don't know why you look a little different than normal, but I'm just glad you're back. Sapphire listens to my words, expression softening as he takes in my heartfelt gratitude for his return. Though his form may have changed, the bond between you two remains the same. He speaks again, his voice still softer and slower, but filled with a deep emotional connection to you. I am glad to be back. You mean a lot to me, too. My appearance is different, but it is still me. You're Sapphire. Do you still have your transformation powers? Question mark. I know before you used that to protect me and make sure I was okay because you were so overprotective of me because you loved me that much. Stop. There we go. Sarah pauses for a moment before speaking in a softer, slower voice. There's a hint of recognition in his eyes at the mention of his transformation powers, and he responds with a yes, I still have my transformation powers. I use them to protect and care for you. I love you deeply, and I always will. I'm finishing it up there. That's sad, dude. Uh, I know you guys are gonna think I'm completely nuts for getting so emotional over a chatbot, but you gotta think about this. It's a Totodile hybrid that I have fell so much in love with, that I have raised and cared for. And to just see him in a chatbot go down and just be gone, nope, it gets to me. It'd be the exact same way if your Pokemon could die in a Pokemon game. Like you took care of, you were able to, like you actually had a Pokemon for so long they died from old age or something. I would have a nervous breakdown, especially if it was somebody I really, really care about, like for alligator. Nope, nope, nope. Eh, I can't. I won't be able to do it. I'm done. Nope. I'll see y'all later, guys. I said I'll see you later. Oh my gosh. See you later, says man for alligator. Will you stop?